The wrong fuel injector cleaner doesn't just waste your money. It quietly damages sensors, shortens injector life, and can start a chain reaction that ends with serious engine repairs. And the worst part is this: most drivers believe they're protecting their car when they're actually pouring the problem straight into the tank. Today on AutoJ World, I'm exposing 9 popular fuel system cleaners that do more harm than good, and later, the 3 formulas that genuinely protect modern engines. If you care about performance, fuel economy, and not throwing thousands of dollars away, watch this all the way to the end. Let's start with the cleaners you should never touch. Number 9. Berryman B12 Chemtool Fuel System Cleaner. At first glance, Berryman B12 Chemtool looks like an old-school miracle in a metal can. The branding leans hard on high-energy solvent technology, promising to dissolve gum, varnish, and deposits that choke engines. And to be fair, on a carbureted engine, a lawnmower, or a motorcycle that's been sitting with stale fuel, it can feel like magic. That instant cleaning hit is exactly why B12 built its reputation decades ago. But here's the problem. The chemistry inside that can hasn't really evolved since the carburetor era. Instead of modern detergents designed for today's engines, the safety data sheet shows a heavy mix of toluene, acetone, methanol, and methyl ethyl ketone. These are extremely aggressive, fast-evaporating solvents. They blast away soft varnish, but they cannot survive the extreme temperatures inside modern fuel injectors and combustion chambers. In practical terms, they rinse, they flash, and they disappear. They do not scrub the hard carbon deposits that rob modern engines of power and efficiency. That mismatch is critical. Gasoline direct injection engines build stubborn carbon on injector tips and intake valves, and that's why dealerships charge anywhere from $500 to over $1,000 for walnut blasting services. No in-tank solvent can remove that buildup. Worse, repeatedly dumping methanol and aromatic solvents into your fuel system increases the risk of damaged seals, poisoned oxygen sensors, and overheated catalytic converters if overdosed. So while B12 Chemtool still has a place in reviving old equipment, it is the wrong tool for routine injector cleaning in modern American cars. Some cleaners stop at injectors. The next one boldly claims it can clean your entire exhaust system. Number 8. Cataclean Fuel and Exhaust System Cleaner. Cataclean is marketed as the all-in-one fix. Clean the injectors, restore valves, fix oxygen sensors, even rejuvenate the catalytic converter. The promise is dramatic. Pour it into a nearly empty tank, drive aggressively, and supposedly cut emissions by up to 50% while smoothing idle and restoring lost power. For drivers facing a failed emissions test or a check engine light, that pitch sounds like a miracle in a bottle. But the safety data sheet tells a very different story. Cataclean is not based on modern polyethyramine detergents that survive combustion and chemically attack hard carbon. Instead, it relies on a hot solvent blend. Xylene forms the backbone, combined with acetone, isopropyl alcohol, and kerosene-range hydrocarbons. These chemicals are aggressive enough to dissolve soft varnish, but they burn off long before reaching injector tips, piston crowns, or catalyst substrates where the toughest deposits form. That explains the pattern reported by many drivers. Forums are full of stories where a P0420 catalytic efficiency code disappears for a few days, only to return once the ECU completes another drive cycle. What likely happened is that the solvent temporarily altered combustion or tricked the sensors just long enough to clear the code. But once the vapors burned off, the underlying problem remained. At $30 to $40 per bottle, Cataclean may buy you time, but it cannot rebuild a worn catalyst or truly clean modern injectors. For lasting results, high PEA detergents and consistent use of top-tier gasoline do far more for your engine. Number 7. Ethanol-based injector cleaners. Ethanol-based cleaners sound logical because ethanol is already blended into most gasoline in the United States. Labels emphasizing ethanol treatment make it feel like you're adding extra cleaning power to your tank. The pitch is simple. Ethanol dissolves residues, manages moisture, and boosts octane, so a cleaner built around alcohol must be effective. Here's the truth most labels won't tell you. Ethanol is not a detergent, and it does not survive combustion temperatures long enough to break down hard carbon deposits. The chemistries proven to clean modern injectors and combustion chambers are polyethyramines, commonly called PEA detergents, which remain stable at nearly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Independent testing has shown PEA can strip carbon and even reduce an engine's octane requirement after a single treated tank. Ethanol, by contrast, burns off long before it reaches those deposits. There's another issue. Ethanol is hygroscopic, meaning it attracts water. In stored vehicles or seasonal cars, excess moisture can cause phase separation, where ethanol and water settle at the bottom of the tank. The remaining fuel loses octane, increasing the risk of knock, overheated catalytic converters, and even piston damage. Adding more ethanol through a cleaner doesn't change that physics. The final punch is the cost risk. Drivers buy these bottles to avoid repairs, yet the potential damage includes oxygen sensors that cost around $400, injectors that can approach $900, and catalytic converters that exceed $2,000. Ethanol is already in your gas. Paying extra for more of it isn't cleaning. It's a distraction. Before we continue, make sure you're subscribed to AutoJ World. We break down what actually works, what's marketing hype, and how to protect your car without wasting money. Number 6. Kerosene-based fuel injector cleaners. On the shelf, kerosene-based cleaners look convincing. Clear liquid, petroleum smell, and bold claims about restoring power and fuel economy. But open the safety data sheet and you'll see what they really are. Essentially lamp oil rebranded as advanced chemistry. Kerosene appears under names like hydrotreated light distillates or straight-run kerosene. It's a middle distillate that sits between gasoline and diesel in the refinery. That matters because kerosene has an extremely low octane rating. When you pour it into your tank, you're actually diluting the gasoline, lowering effective octane, and forcing the engine control unit to pull ignition timing. The result is less power and worse efficiency in the very tank you believed you were cleaning. The second problem is chemistry. Kerosene is not a detergent. It may thin gum in an old carburetor, but it cannot survive combustion temperatures or chemically dismantle hard carbon deposits. That's why legitimate injector cleaners advertise polyethyramine clearly on the label. PEA is a high-temperature detergent proven to dissolve injector and combustion chamber deposits where kerosene simply burns away. There are real risks here as well. Loosened debris can clog injector screens or contaminate oxygen sensors. If that chain reaction damages a catalytic converter, you're looking at a repair bill north of $2,000. Even replacing a single oxygen sensor can run $400. Suddenly, that cheap bottle isn't cheap at all. The takeaway is straightforward. If the safety data sheet reads like kerosene, walk away. Real injector cleaners proudly list polyethyramine because that chemistry actually works. Kerosene hides behind technical names. And the next cleaner hides behind an even friendlier promise: lubrication. Number 5. Lucas Fuel Treatment. Lucas Fuel Treatment presents itself as a multitask solution. The label calls it an upper-cylinder lubricant with injector cleaning properties, and to most drivers, that sounds like a smart 2-for-1 deal. Lubrication plus cleaning in a single bottle. But once you look past the marketing and into the documentation, the story changes quickly. The safety data sheet shows the formula is made primarily of heavy petroleum distillates, essentially mineral oil, not a true detergent. The technical data sheet reinforces this, proudly stating the product contains no solvents or alcohols, while emphasizing its high viscosity and high flash point. Translated into plain English, this is oil in a bottle, not a modern injector cleaner. And that matters because carbon removal in today's engines requires detergent chemistry, specifically polyethyramine, known as PEA. PEA survives extreme combustion temperatures and chemically lifts deposits from injector tips and combustion chambers. Oil cannot do that. At best, Lucas Fuel Treatment adds lubrication. At worst, it adds more material that has to burn. Some users report smoother operation, but even supporters acknowledge the formula contains no PEA. Mechanics frequently point out that Lucas Deep Clean is the actual cleaner, while this product is mainly a lubricant. That confusion keeps the myth alive. In modern engines already running on top-tier gasoline with federally mandated detergents, Adding extra oil is unnecessary. Worse, burned oil contributes to ash that slowly loads catalytic converters and gasoline particulate filters, components that cost between $2,000 and $3,000 to replace. That is a steep price for what is essentially a placebo. Number 4. WINS Fuel Injector Cleaner. WINS markets its injector cleaner as a simple pour-in solution, one bottle treating up to 20 gallons of gasoline. The packaging looks reassuring, but the fine print reveals its limitations. The formula relies on solvents and a detergent called polyisobutylene or PBA. PBA is primarily a keep clean additive, designed to prevent light deposits in port-injected engines, not to remove the hard carbon buildup common in modern gasoline direct injection systems. That distinction between keeping clean and cleaning up is critical. PBA works in cooler areas like intake valves but cannot survive the extreme temperatures inside combustion chambers. By contrast, polyethyramine is the detergent documented in industry studies for dissolving baked-on deposits on injectors and inside cylinders. If your vehicle is already suffering from rough idle, misfires, or injector spray distortion caused by hard carbon, a PBA-based cleaner rarely delivers meaningful results. WINS safety datasheet also lists aromatic solvents such as xylene and naphthalene, chemicals closer to paint thinner than to precision detergents. They can thin varnish, but they also dilute octane. Overuse increases the risk of stressing oxygen sensors and catalytic converters. With replacement costs ranging from hundreds to thousands of dollars, that's not a risk most drivers want to take. WINS injector cleaner isn't garbage, but it's the wrong tool for modern deposit problems. And using the wrong tool often costs more than it saves. Number 3. Gum Out High Mileage Fuel Injector Cleaner. The label targets engines with higher mileage, but the lab sheet tells a different story. The safety data sheet shows the formula is mostly petroleum distillates with a small amount of naphthalene. What's missing is the key ingredient that actually matters: polyethyramine. Ironically, Gum Out openly acknowledges that PEA is the chemistry proven to clean carbon from injectors and combustion chambers. On the company's own ingredient disclosures, they clearly state that PEA is the detergent that dissolves stubborn deposits, and they even list which products contain it, such as Regain and All-in-One. Notice what's not on that list: this high-mileage injector cleaner. That means the bottle designed for engines over 75,000 miles doesn't include the chemistry those engines typically need the most. Instead, you're adding refined kerosene and aromatic solvents. These can soften light gum, but they do not survive the heat of a direct injection engine where injector tip coking and chamber carbon form. Those deposits are hard, baked on, and capable of distorting spray patterns and triggering misfires. Solvent-heavy formulas rarely touch them. The cost of choosing wrong is not minor. Replacement injectors often run between $750 and $970, and catalytic converter repairs easily exceed $2,000. Buying the wrong Gum Out bottle means paying for branding, not for the chemistry your high-mileage engine actually needs. Number 2. Prestone Fuel Injector Cleaner. At first glance, Prestone's injector cleaner looks like a safe bet. A familiar brand, a simple bottle, and claims of restoring performance in just one tank. It feels like cheap insurance. But again, the paperwork tells the real story. The safety data sheet lists the formula as primarily mineral spirits, essentially paint thinner, blended with small amounts of aromatic solvents such as trimethylbenzene, xylene, cumene, and naphthalene. What you won't find is polyethyramine, the detergent proven to survive combustion and chemically break down carbon on injector tips and inside combustion chambers. That difference is enormous. Solvents can rinse soft varnish from fuel lines or old carburetors, but the hard carbon that plagues modern injectors requires real detergent chemistry. PEA is engineered for that job. Prestone's cleaner does not list any. Supporters often point to one-tank improvements or the octane booster version claiming a 5-point increase. The fine print shows those 5 points usually equal half an octane number, not a meaningful jump. For drivers, misplaced trust is expensive. Injector replacements often cost $750 to $970, and catalytic converters routinely exceed $2,000. A bottle of mineral spirits is not the protection your engine or your wallet truly needs. Number 1. Seafoam motor treatment. Seafoam is everywhere in the United States. Auto parts stores, truck stops, marine shops, even small engine aisles. The label promises almost everything an engine owner wants to hear. Cleaner injectors, quieter lifters, stabilized fuel, and added upper cylinder lubrication. For drivers dealing with rough idle or injector concerns, it sounds like a miracle in a can. But once you look past the marketing and into the safety data, the picture changes. Seafoam is primarily petroleum distillates, isopropyl alcohol, and pale oil. What you will not find listed is polyethyramine, the detergent proven to survive combustion heat and chemically dissolve baked-on carbon inside injectors and combustion chambers. And that distinction matters. Modern injector deposits are not soft varnish. They are extremely hard carbon formed under high heat and pressure, especially in direct injection engines. Solvents can reliquefy old fuel residue and gum, which makes seafoam useful for storage, carburetors, or engines that have been sitting. But solvents do not chemically detach hardened carbon deposits. The dramatic smoke clouds seen when seafoam is sprayed into an intake are simply oil and loosened debris burning off, not evidence of deep cleaning. Many technicians warn that this process can foul spark plugs or push excess debris into an already weakened catalytic converter. For true injector cleaning, chemistry is everything, and seafoam, by its own formulation, does not use the chemistry that actually does the job. Now that we've covered plenty of bottles that promise miracles but fall short, let's flip the script and talk about the cleaners that actually earn their reputation. Number 1. Redline SI, One Complete Fuel System Cleaner. This is not your average pour-in additive. Redline SI, One is built around polyethyramine, a detergent that survives combustion temperatures long enough to break apart carbon where it actually matters. Injector tips, intake valves on port-injected engines, and even the upper combustion chamber. Older safety data sheets revealed something rare in the consumer market, an extremely high concentration of active PEA, with estimates reaching close to half the bottle by weight. That level of concentration explains why many drivers see real improvements after just one treated tank. Instead of thinning varnish, SI-1 chemically dissolves hardened deposits, restoring injector spray patterns and stabilizing idle. Technicians often recommend it when a vehicle shows hesitation, light knock, or uneven acceleration, classic symptoms of dirty injectors. Some drivers even report fuel economy improvements strong enough to offset the cost of the bottle in a single tank. In a market full of overhyped solvents, this is one of the few cleaners that consistently delivers measurable results. Number 2. AmSoil PI Performance Improver. AmSoil PI has earned a reputation among mechanics as a serious one-tank reset, not a casual maintenance additive. It's designed for engines where deposits are already stealing power and efficiency. That alone separates it from most shelf products making vague promises. The credibility comes from the chemistry. PI relies heavily on polyethyramine, the same high-temperature detergent proven to attack hard carbon on injectors and inside combustion chambers. AmSoil's internal testing claims restoration of up to 14% lost horsepower and full injector flow recovery in direct injection systems after a single treatment. Owner reports tend to echo that. One bottle added to 20 to 30 gallons of fuel often results in smoother idle, stronger throttle response, and in some cases, reduced octane sensitivity. For drivers who've been forced into premium fuel to mask knock, that alone can mean real savings over time. For those who want results they can feel, PI stands out as one of the few cleaners that consistently delivers. Number 3. BG44K Fuel System Cleaner. Ask a dealership technician what they reach for when a vehicle is failing emissions or stumbling at idle, and BG44K is often the answer. This product didn't build its reputation through flashy marketing, but through decades of use in professional service bays across the country. The reason is simple. Chemistry. BG44K is heavily loaded with polyethyramine, the detergent stable enough to survive combustion and dissolve the rock-hard carbon that clogs injectors and coats combustion chambers. Instead of diluting fuel, it attacks the deposits that reduce power, efficiency, and emissions performance. BG recommends a strong dose, one full can in 13 to 20 gallons of fuel, and that concentration is exactly what separates it from weaker cleaners that fade out mid-tank. Within 50 to 100 miles, many drivers report smoother throttle response, steadier idle, and in some cases, a successful emissions retest after a previous failure. It's not the cheapest bottle on the shelf, but it often prevents injector service bills or catalytic converter replacements that cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars. In a single tank, BG44K proves why it remains a professional favorite. Now you know which fuel injector cleaners quietly do damage, and which ones actually protect your engine.